I'm Jack Kaiser from Chippewa Valley Progressive Voices, and today we're continuing our exploration of the homeless issues in the Chippewa Valley. I'm here to talk with Dan Robinson. Dan is the director of Sojourner House, which is a mission of Catholic Charities of the Diocese of La Crosse. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you, Jack.
What is Sojourner House?
Well, Sojourner House is a place to stay overnight for men and women over the age of 18, and we'll provide them with a meal, both in the evening and in the morning, a place to shower, bunk beds to sleep in, a place to store their stuff, and we want to treat them with dignity and respect and encourage them in whatever it is that they would like to do.
Where's it located?
It's located at 618 South Barstow, right downtown.
And that's right across from Beacon House.
Yes, it is.
Tell us the differences between the people you and Beacon House serve and how you work together to meet the needs of the homeless.
Okay, one thing about the Sojourner House, it's just for men and women over the age of 18. So we don't deal with children, whereas the Beacon House does deal with children and families. We don't have a time limit. We do have a 90-day policy, which basically just means you move to the end of the line. Unlike most other shelters, there is a time limit. You're there for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. You can come back a year later and start over again. At the Sojourner House, you can continue to stay there because we feel that it sometimes takes longer to get back on your feet than 90 days.
Tell us a little bit about your guests.
Our guests range from 18 to 89. The oldest person that we've ever had there was 89 years old, and a grandpa that just lost his place and needed a place to stay until he could get back on his feet.
What sort of things have led people to be homeless who stay at your place?
Oftentimes it's a loss of a job, it's a broken relationship. Having lost that job or broken that relationship, you don't have a place to stay, and or you've burned up your bridges with staying with family members and friends. And because it's available, they might say, why don't you go stay at the Sojourner House?
Do a significant number of your guests struggle with mental illness or substance problems?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Tell us about a typical evening, starting with when you open your doors at 7, and take us right through until the guests leave.
Okay. Well, the Sojourner House opens at 7 in the evening. Our staff arrives shortly after 6. Our volunteers for the evening arrive around 6:30. Guests may start showing up 5:30, 6, and just hang out outside until we open at 7. The volunteers that would come from area churches, bringing in the meal for the evening. There could be 6 to 10 volunteers. And when they arrive at 6:30, we'll interact with them and we'll talk with them. So sometimes now they just kind of take over, which is wonderful. But if they're a new group, we have to assign jobs like who's going to be in the kitchen serving food, who's going to be a greeter at the door, who's going to take and do a breathalyzer on each guest, who's going to be checking their names off on the list, and who's going to be storing their personal belongings in the bin room. Once all of that is all decided and everybody's set up and the staff person's ready to go, we will start letting folks in at 7 o'clock. And first thing is they fill out their name on a slip of paper, which is key to what bin they're in. And then eventually when they're assigned a bed, what bed they're in. They need to have that piece of paper with them. They will get breathalyzed. Now, breathalyzing doesn't keep you from being at the Sojourner House. It just keeps you in a separate room. When you have as many guests as we have in a space that we have, someone who is under the influence of alcohol really creates a unhealthy or unsafe situation. So we have them sit in a sitting room, and we bring in a tray full of food for them. And later in the evening, perhaps before 9 o'clock, we will do another breathalyzer, and they would hopefully blow a 0 and then be assigned to bed. So it's not that we don't let people who have been drinking in, we just don't encourage it. And it has a little uneasiness about it, but we still would allow them to be in.
What sort of meal do you serve them?
We can have some good meals. Most of the time, we have churches that bring in the meal for the evening. It could be potatoes and meat and vegetables, dessert. We also have groups who come to the Sojourner House who don't create meals or bring in meals. Sometimes like social work students, criminal justice students, they come and serve, so then we prepare the meal. We get our food from Feed My People, whatever it is we need, mainly breakfast foods and pizzas, and we get leftover chicken from Pizza Ranch, and we get leftover food from Chipotle, and we also get leftover sweets from Starbucks.
At 9 o'clock, what happens?
At 9 o'clock, if you're over 90 days and you are now moved to the end of the line, because that's our policy, if you've been there over 90 days, rather than be turned out, you're just moved to the end of the line. At 9 o'clock, that's the end of our check-in process. That's when we check you in. So maybe, worst case scenario, all of the beds are taken, but we do have recliners, and you would be assigned in a recliner.
Now, we've gotten to bedtime, and now would be an appropriate time to wind down this segment. Would you be willing to come back and do another segment on this topic, starting off where we left off?
Absolutely, Jack. My pleasure.
Thanks, Dan.